Yo, what's going on, guys? It is Foxy98 here. Welcome back to a brand new video for you guys today here on the channel. Today, this is round 3 of my F1 2018 career modes here for the Chinese Grand Prix. And as you can see, we're over at the workstation. And first of all, we've got all of our upgrades that have been selected for this weekend. So that was the engine upgrades, the aero department, and also the chassis upgrade. However, as you can see, only the chassis upgrade actually went ahead and was completed in time for this Chinese Grand Prix, as the sections all failed. So that's a little bit of a pain. I was hoping maybe at least 2 came on the car for this weekend, but do you know what? We'll just have to deal with it, and we have 2 failures which we're going to have to sort out. And as you can see, Emma there just explaining the contract situation. So we can obviously, in future, start negotiating a better contract with Mercedes, but we can't do that for now, and that's perfectly fine. So as you can see, we're going to go ahead and confirm those developments and get those on the car for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Now, they'll 100% be on the car now for Baku, because we've obviously spent more resource points to get them for the next weekend. So it's not like they're going to fail again. That would have been literally a massive kick in the teeth. But before we get into today's episode, I just wanted to confirm that for this race and also for the Spanish Grand Prix, there are no replay cameras for the races. Now, obviously, as you see for the races, I always switch to the replay cameras during the race to try and just basically get better shots of all the high action. But for this Chinese Grand Prix, there's no replay cameras. I did a mid-session save late on in the Grand Prix, and I completely forgot that, or I didn't even realise, because I've never done a mid-session save before, but I had to do one, that if you do a mid-session save, that actually goes ahead and gets rid of all of the replay camera progress from your previous bit that you just did. So when you rejoin in a mid-session save, if you do like a 100% race and you do a mid-session save on the final lap, it'll literally show only the final lap, which is something I had no idea about, which is an absolute pain. And then for the Spanish Grand Prix, I'll go ahead and talk about it when I get to the Spanish Grand Prix, but that was due to just the recording just stopped because my hard drive decided to fill up. So I finished the entire race, did the 5 red lights, lights out, and then the hard drive was like, oh, it's full, so we're not recording anymore. So I had to clear up space on this laptop that I'd taken with me whilst I am away. But nevertheless, then moving into the practice programs for the Chinese Grand Prix, everything actually went really, really well for us.
Amazing performance out there. You must be really happy. You're leading the championship. Are you happy to be there or feeling the pressure? You were flying in practice. Do you think you can carry this over to qualifying? Great. Well, that's everything.
Okay, yeah, so just had that little interview then with Claire. I'm going to keep getting them mixed up with Emma, I swear down, because I just don't remember names. But there you go. But yeah, the practice session went really, really well for us. I was really, really happy with the car. I was a little bit shaky, probably in the middle sector. But the first and final sector, I felt really, really comfortable. Although my first sector pace was not really as quick as the AIs, I just felt a little bit more comfortable. But the middle sector, I was still quite fast. So overall, I'm looking forward to this weekend. Car's feeling good. And let's get into qualifying. Alright then, speaking of qualifying, it's actually going to be a wet qualifying for us, which is rather interesting. So as you can see then, this is our qualifying run. We only did 1 run in Q1 because I was pretty much just happy with the car anyway. Final corner, we go a little bit wide. Back end comes out a little bit. I have to get off the throttle there, but we still go across the line and go second fastest in Q1. So even though it wasn't a good lap at all, it was still a very decent attempt there, and that puts us into P2. And you can see then that it was Lewis Hamilton that was the fastest. So it's Mercedes 1-2 in qualifying here today, with Kimi Raikkonen and also Daniel Ricciardo coming through then and taking the other 2 spots. And there was no real major driver that went out in Q1, so we're pretty much all good and ready to go into Q2, and we do just that going into Q2 actually. It is dry for Q2, so I opted for the soft tyres in Q2 because around the Chinese Grand Prix circuit, the ultra soft tyres literally you'll have to pit within the first 3 to 4 laps. I didn't want to do that, so I went ahead and put on the soft tyres. We only qualified in P8, but it's good enough to get us into Q3, and that's all that matters. So for the race, we're going to be doing the 1 stop once again. Obviously, it worked for us in the Bahrain Grand Prix, and I kind of wanted to do a test of the 1 stop really in this race, and I'll explain that later at the end of the video. But for now, obviously we're doing the one stop and we managed to make it through. Everyone else will be starting on the purple marked ultra soft tyres, but of course they won't last very long in the early phases of the race. Into Q3 then, and as you can see, Lewis Hamilton sets the fastest time. We come around the corner, final corner here, opening up the DRS, and as we come across the line, it is actually pole position. We're on provisional pole for the time being here, so it's looking good for us as we just about let Vettel through there on his lap. But heading through then onto our final attempt, this is our chance to try and solidify pole position, but around the final corner, we actually didn't improve. Hamilton goes ahead and sets pole position, and I just couldn't improve on my previous best lap. I just couldn't quite find the extra time. I felt like my first lap was literally everything I could possibly get out of the car. So I just didn't have enough, unfortunately. But it's a Mercedes front row lockout ahead of the two Ferraris, and then also I think actually no, Verstappen's actually in front of Raikkonen. So it's Vettel, Verstappen, then Raikkonen, Ricciardo, and then it's Alonso, Sainz. No, it's not. It's Hulkenberg, Sainz, Alonso, and then Kevin Magnussen for the entire top 10. So.
Good day today. Tell us about it from your perspective. It's always good to qualify at the front, isn't it? It's the start of the season. How do you think things are going to go for you? The weather hasn't been ideal in qualifying. What's your take on it? Great. Well, that's everything.
Thank you, Claire, for that little interview there, just as I was about to walk into my motorhome. But yeah, I couldn't get any more out of the car. So fair play to Hamilton. He starts on pole for the Chinese Grand Prix. Would have liked to have started on pole, but of course we're going to have a big deficit by being on the soft tyres at the start of the race compared to those in the ultras. So we need to stay with them, but they're going to be pitting very early, which is going to pay it into our favours. But as you can see, we're gathering our resource points. We're still losing in the rivalry, however, so we need to pick that up. But without further ado, let's get into the race for the Chinese Grand Prix.
Ever since the Sauber of Felipe Massa passed Jenson Button into Turn 1 at the very first Chinese Grand Prix in 2004, Shanghai has consistently provided close racing and extraordinary memories. It's where Lewis Hamilton effectively lost the title in his rookie year, and it's where Nico Rosberg claimed Mercedes' first win of the modern era in 2012. We start a lap here at Shanghai with the long, difficult right-handers of turns 1 and 2, the first of 16 corners that make up this 3.3-mile circuit. The incredibly long back straight provides the best passing opportunity of the lap, with speeds in excess of 200 miles per hour before the braking zone of turn 14. Joining me for today's race once again is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Thomas. As with all the drivers at this level, they have a lot of ambition, but Formula One's a daunting step up from any other series, so expectations are high right from the start.
And this is something that has ended the career of many a young driver, as that leap up to Formula One proves to be too much. But luckily in this case, I'd say they're doing a good, solid job, and the risk the team took in signing them is definitely starting to pay off.
With that then, let's run through the grid order. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and Thomas completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Verstappen, Kimi Raikkonen and Ricciardo, Hulkenberg, Sainz, Alonso and Kevin Magnussen, Van Dorn, Grosjean, Pierre Gasly and Leclerc, Stroll, Ericsson, Sergio Perez and Brendan Hartley. Sirotkin and Esteban Ocon rounds off the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Alright, so we're on the grid now here for the Chinese Grand Prix, and as you can see, front row lockout, and as you can see there, we're going to be doing the one-stop, soft to mediums, pretty bog standard to be honest, and we're completely avoiding the ultra-soft tyres, because as you can see, even on the low tyre management strategy, the ultra-soft tyres were just literally a no-go. But anyway, we're on the grid now, we've got 5 red lights here for the start of the Chinese Grand Prix, and it's lights out. Here we go to start the Chinese Grand Prix. It's been a slow start from us actually. Of course, we're going to have that on those soft tyres, and now we're trying to cover off the attack of the Red Bulls now in towards the first corner here, and we just get a little bit tight on the curb. Make contact with Verstappen. Car's gone sideways here. We're on the grass now, but luckily we don't actually lose that many places. In fact, we only lost out to Verstappen and also Ricciardo after the contact. I thought the contact would literally catapult me down the field, and that would have really made my strategy critical. But annoyingly, we're going to have to get back on with it. But we go for a late braking move down the inside of Daniel Ricciardo, very similar to what he did to Valtteri Bottas in real life. But of course, Bottas actually squeezed him extremely close to the apex. But we're back up now into 5th place here for the Chinese Grand Prix. Onto lap 4 of the Grand Prix now, and obviously we're still in 5th at the moment, but Raikkonen and Verstappen in front are having a little bit of a scrap, and that's going to start putting us into play a little bit. They're going side by side, but eventually Verstappen holds on and defends the position. But early on in this race, Lewis Hamilton has absolutely bolted from this Grand Prix. He is gone in this stage of the race. I believe he's being closely followed, though, by Sebastian Vettel. So Vettel is not letting him get away that easily, but Verstappen is really holding up Kimi Raikkonen at the moment, and that is also allowing me to come back into play a little bit. Obviously, with that contact, it meant that I had to try and close up to Ricciardo, but in the early stages of the race, the top 4, they were pulling away from me, and that's expected, obviously, as I'm running the soft tyres, whereas they're running the ultra soft tyres. But heading now through the banking corner, you can see that we're actually getting slightly closer now to the back of the Ferrari here, and we're just biding our time in this race. We know we don't need to overdo it to stay with these cars, because eventually they're going to have to come in for that early stop. Following that, they're also going to have to get through the traffic as well. So really, it's not going to be that fun for these cars, and it's going to be that critical stage when they're through the traffic that I'll need to pick up the pace in order to try and deal with that. So we're just, you know, sort of trying to stay with there. Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel actually come into the pits, and as you can see that we are closing up on Kimi Raikkonen. We've now actually got the DRS enabled for ourselves. So yeah, we're getting closer now to the back of the Ferrari, and Verstappen is also just holding up Raikkonen ever so slightly as they try and make their way through. Onto the end of lap 5 now, and as you can see, we're now trying to catch up to the back of Kimi Raikkonen as we've got the car in hot lap, but eventually we'll change that to overtake, because obviously you guys are more than know it. You even told me how to use the ERS deployment, even though I knew about it as well. But obviously, if you want to get the best out of the car, use hot lap for the lower gears, and then as soon as you get up to 7th and probably switch it into 8th gear, chuck the car into overtake mode and you'll maximize top speed. But as you can see then, Raikkonen and Verstappen also pit. And obviously, if the replay cams are actually working on this, I'd be able to show all the top 4 fighting through the traffic. But unfortunately, I couldn't show that because I mid-session saved. I didn't even know it got rid of everything. But we're going to carry on anyway. And we're just going to keep pressing through now. Use the opportunity now that the top runners have come into the pits and are stuck in the traffic to get away, build an advantage, and then crack on from there. Now we're going on to lap 11 of the Grand Prix. Going to start lap 12, and this is our pit window. This is where we're going to be coming in for a set of the medium tyres, and we're going to take these all the way to the end of the race, which is about, I'm trying to work it out in my head, about 16 laps, around about that. So 15, 16 laps compared to 11, 12 laps on soft tyres. Not really that much of a difference, and they should easily get to the end of the race, and that is our intentions. And we're into the pits now, and we're coming in for a fresh set of the medium tyres. And obviously, with no one near me in the pit lane, it's going to be a nice quick pit stop, which is always good. And we can get out now and try and carry on. Grosjean actually goes in front, and then eventually Lewis Hamilton gets in front of us as well. So at least at the moment, we're racing Lewis Hamilton in this Grand Prix because he's actually got in front of us in this stage of the race. As we come out of the pits just in front of Pierre Gasly and also the 2 Ferraris. So we've actually done the overcut on Vettel and Raikkonen. So Vettel, throughout the traffic, has lost so much time compared to Lewis Hamilton. It's crazy how much time he's actually lost compared to Hamilton there. So Vettel's going to have a lot of work to do. And really, we're kind of solidifying ourselves in P2 at this stage in the race. But we're moving on now into lap. I can't even see it on my screen right now. It's a great lap. But we're actually in the lead of the race now. So Hamilton's pitted for his second stop of the Grand Prix. And we've actually got Kimi Raikkonen behind us now. Now, in fairness to Kimi Raikkonen, throughout this entire stint, as soon as he cleared Pierre Gasly, he actually got put a pretty hard time on me because Raikkonen was literally just sticking with me. It was lap 16. It's hard to see on this preview screen. It's really blurry. But yeah, Raikkonen was doing very well to stay with me. He wasn't dropping back. I wasn't pulling away from him. And honestly, I wasn't trying to pull away from him because I knew full well that he's going to come in for a second stop because he has to. And as we come around the final corner now, Raikkonen does exactly that, and he comes in for his second stop of the Grand Prix so far. And now we've got a clean, comfortable track in front of us, and the one stop is pretty much showing to be working completely fine. And we can just keep cracking on in this race with absolutely no problems whatsoever as we go now through turn 1 and turn 2, and we can just carry on our way. On to lap 24 of the Grand Prix now, and as you can see, we've just got clean air for daylights. However, this is pretty much shows here that we get on the curb and we actually lose the rear of the car and go onto the grass a little bit there. Loss of concentration, so that just shows you, if you're out in the lead of the race and you've got a big margin, don't take it for granted, because anything can happen in Formula 1, and we nearly just threw it in the wall there, and that was a wake-up call for me, and I'm literally now in full cautious mode. But onto the final lap of the Grand Prix, that was pretty much what happened, unfortunately. We come around the final corner now, and it's not the final lap of the Grand Prix. I lied. It's lap 27. It's Pierre Gasly that's out of the race. Whoops, my bad. So yeah, Pierre Gasly actually retired from this Grand Prix. Even I can't remember what happened in this race. And then as you can see, we're now coming down towards the end of the first sector, the start of the middle sector, because there is another driver that retired very late on. In fact, on the final lap of this Grand Prix, I believe it was one of the Sauber cars. I think it was Marcus Ericsson. Obviously, it wasn't his fault. It was his fault even. And as you can see, there is a car parked up on the side, and it is indeed one of the Saubers. I think it was Marcus Ericsson. I don't believe it was Charles Leclerc. But yeah, overall, it was a really, really simple race, and this is kind of what the title of the video is going to be. For me, overall, after doing this race and testing it out, I feel like the one-stop is extremely powerful this year, and the AIs don't do it. The AIs always stick to a two-stop, whereas anyone like myself, like I've just done here, just does the one-stop and can just blitz the field like this. So, yeah, a little bit of cause for concern. So we come around the hairpin corner now for the final time. It's a little bit of a weird one. I'm obviously winning the Grand Prix is going to be exactly what you want and exactly what I want. And we won it again doing the better strategy. And we crossed the line to win the Chinese Grand Prix. But I will state it at this. From now on, for the rest of the season, after doing this test and finding out that the one-stop is that powerful, in Q2, for the rest of the season, I'm going to be starting on the exact same tyres as the AI does. So I'm going to be going to the final few minutes of qualifying 2, and I'm going to go ahead and whatever tyres they're starting on, I'll start on them. If there's one or two that do the one-stop, I may try the one-stop, or I might just go aggressive and try and attack. Because obviously, in this Grand Prix, if I had replay counts, it would have made the video a little bit longer, because you would have seen the battling with the other AIs. But the thing that everyone wants to see is me fighting the cars. And not trying to make it look too simple, and I'm constantly, race after race after race, bumping up the AI difficulty, making it harder, pushing myself a little bit more, but I do believe that the one-stop is too powerful in the game, and I feel like the AIs will only do the one-stop if the race is easy for a one-stop. Yeah, just to put that out there as a little bit of context, I'm probably still going to get comments saying don't do the one-stop, it's too easy, but hopefully I can clarify it anyway, and at least if I state in the video, we know it there. So for the rest of the season, I will not be doing the one-stop unless I have to in a race, obviously, and whatever tyres that the AI starts on during the race weekend, I will go ahead and start on that. If I'm really struggling in a race weekend and I know that I'm not going to beat them on a two-stop, I will counteract on a one-stop. But if I've got good pace like that race there, I'm going to go ahead and stick with the two-stop with the AI. So it's going to be down to...
Tell us about it from your perspective. You're breaking all expectations. What's your secret? How are you feeling after that win? You must be thrilled to be up on the podium. You had a close battle today, didn't you? Appreciate your time.
So yeah, that is pretty much it then for the Chinese Grand Prix. That is the interview, obviously, with Claire Dunn as well. And we managed to, pretty much throughout this episode, we really increased the reputation with myself and Mercedes-Benz. But That is going to be it, guys, for this episode of my F1 2018 career modes. If you have enjoyed it, feel free to drop it a like. Subscribe if you're new around here as well. And as I said, next episode onwards, I'm not going to be doing the one-stop because it's very, very powerful, and we've proven that today. But until then, guys, I'll see you next time. Take care all. Peace.
Fantastic.